So, I want to talk about stacking for a moment and about the use of emotions in training. Good girl, Freckles. You can see here that I've got Freckles' leash on, and she's feeling a little bad. She's got some health issues right now, and those are making her not want to go on walks for us very much. So, we just passed the really hard spot, and I'll try to take a video of this later because it's really interesting. Good girl, sweetie. But I went ahead and put the leash on her. Good girl. And then I asked her to come with me. And the leash was never tight, and she came with me just fine. And the leash has always been used for her. Good girl. As a fun thing, as a positive experience, it's the thing that happens before we go on fun adventures. And she loves fun adventures. So what I believe is happening here is what I will call pleasure stacking, or stacking of emotional states, preloading emotional states. So this is something that I don't think that ABA accounts for. And if you know of something in ABA that addresses this, I'd be very interested in hearing it. But basically, we know from Donna Hill's wonderful video and some of the trigger stacking, handouts that are out there, that good girl, and I'll find the original work if I can, but that stress is additive, and that if we have multiple stressors that occur in a short period of time, that a bite is more likely to happen. That's the common example that's used. But also we see that, with trigger stacking, we're more likely to get shadow chasing. We're more likely to get stress behaviors, avoidance, fear, all of these kinds of what somebody might call negative emotional states. I'll call them bad, unpleasant emotional states. And I am using emotions intentionally because I think that we can have a baseline, we can have both a set point of emotional state being, generally happy and optimistic, or, a set point of emotional state that is generally fearful or cautious or hesitant or something like that. And we can use those baseline emotional states in training. So, for example, we can pleasure stack. So if I have a dog who is reactive and fearful, I can preload my training session with happy, fun. Oh, she's going to eat some poop, make herself a little happier. Preload my training session, good girl, with happy activities. So, playing the bowling game, some fun treats, play, massage, training tricks, and happy time, going on a sniffy walk, doing any of these things that my dogs enjoy. And I can preload that emotional state so I'm less likely to have outbursts. And I'm more likely to get a safe and a positive outcome. Now think of it this way. In the human analogy, good girl, Pumpkin, if we're out there and the sun is shining and it's a beautiful day and your hubby has just brought you flowers, you run into your arch enemy at the grocery store and you're likely to hold the door for them and smile. Whereas if you've had that bad day, you're more likely to slam the door in their face or turn away from them or yell at them or, run them over in the parking lot, whatever. So, yes, antecedents matter, but it's not just in terms of cue. The environmental cues, and it's not just a question of avoiding stress trigger stacking. It is putting an optimistic emotional state in place. And of course, I think that those emotional states are, your baseline stress, your baseline endogenous opioids, or things of that sort that are longer and slower acting than our nerve impulses. But they predetermine the likelihood of one set of nerve impulses versus another set of nerve impulses. So, for example, we know that fear emotions occur in certain parts of the brain. Well, are those more likely to be activated by stress than the good boy, than the pleasure centers of the brain? So, I'm not a neurobiologist. I'm an evolutionary biologist. So I tend to look at things as though, what possibilities exist and what is most likely given survival and reproductive strategies. And in this case, I haven't thought about this too deeply, but I would say that when we're in stressful environments, that we're in a more of a competitive, often, not always, a competitive environment, and we need to hoard resources. We need to defend ourselves. We need to, which are all very antagonistic emotions. Whereas when we're in a good girl, a rich environment, those are the times to build alliances, to build love and community and share, in the hopes that, hey, you might get some tit for tat or even some altruistic interactions going on, building up your altruistic, reciprocal altruistic bank, as it were. So those are my thoughts for today on pleasure stacking.